My name is Norbert Kunz. I'm the CEO and founder of Social Impact. I'm born in a very small village with 800 inhabitants many years ago. So I founded Social Impact in 1994 after the reunification in Germany, and we worked for a long time in the rural areas, specifically in Brandenburg, and we had a lot of partners in other, specifically in Eastern European countries, and we made a lot of experience with the development or the lack of the development in rural areas. And it was for us a very big challenge to develop new products and services for this area and for rural areas. And for 10 years we didn't work in rural areas, but now we will come back to the rural areas because specifically in Germany, but we can also realize this in other countries, there is a big challenge because there is a gap between the development processes in rural areas and urban areas. And this gap of this development, we can also see that we have a political development into the, more to the right side, and that we want change. So that's the reason that we go back to the rural areas now. Innovation is defined as a new combination of resources to develop new products, new services, or new networks. And if you look to the rural areas, you will see that you have a lack of resources. In the most rural areas in the last 20 years, young people left the rural areas, very qualified people left the rural areas. There's no capital, there's a lack of demand. So as a social entrepreneur or a social innovator, you have to deal with these resources which are there. And that's a big challenge for rural areas, and for this social entrepreneurs and social innovators have to deal with specific resources they could find in the rural area, and that makes it very difficult. I think if you will be a good rural social entrepreneur, you have to have the potential to activate endogenous potentials in the rural areas. So you have to work with people and with resources which are there. And like I mentioned in the question before, very often we have not this pool on qualified people in rural areas, but anyway, you have to build up partnerships with people which are there, and to have to look how you can activate people who are living in the rural areas, and to build new kind of networks, or probably you have to qualify also these people and to motivate people that they get involved in a development process. So we did this some years ago when we developed a project that's called the rural caretaker, and we qualified people which were older than 50 years old in a rural caretaker, and we give them all the competences they need to develop small villages. So nobody believed in this time that it's possible to empower these elderly people, that they overtake responsibility for small villages. And that is a way, or the opportunity to change the situation in small villages. And then I think that is the biggest challenge for social entrepreneurs, to find the right resources where you can work with to make a change in this area. And I think now it is much easier than before, because with the digitalization, it's easier to build up networks in rural areas, to find resources in rural areas, to develop or to promote new ideas in rural areas. It is easier than maybe 10 or 15 years before, but still a challenge. Like all other social entrepreneurs in rural areas need specific competence. They need business competences, communication competences, and so on. It depends on their specific project, on their specific product. But I think there are three things that are very, very important. So one point is They have to have the courage to change things. They have to be passionate, and they must be resilient.